until what we call is flooded, okay? But I don't like that flooded look. I want this to have a little more intensity. That's full spot on. So I'm going to pull it back a bit. Okay, I'm just going to go there.
That's the key light, nice and high. 1000 watts.
Okay. Striking.
That's the fill light.
Now, when you are determining your lighting, you should always use the light meter unless you're such a professional. You don't need it. We haven't gone over the light meter, but we will. Again. Now, you really should have a model in the seat. And I'm going to ask somebody to be our model, but I want to get this set first.
To clarify, were you, is this like the key or the fill?
This fill.
Is this fill?
This is the fill light.
And then also you make sure that it's not as high as other the fill light, or is
Yeah.
is it what you
Look at the height of the key and look at the height of the fill.
So Doug, you
It's
mentioned
like the
that it's
rest-
Higher.
Go ahead, what's your question?
No, I see
Right, the fill is almost always lower than the key and relatively close to the camera. Okay, this should really be closer to our camera, but I'm just gonna go with it as is. Okay, so I need a volunteer to sit in for us for a few minutes, and then we'll switch out so that that person can see what this is gonna look like. So can I have a volunteer to sit in, because it's really hard to light a subject when the subject isn't there.
Thank you, Sabbath.
Thank you. Okay. All right, now.
How do you do?
I know, yeah, I apologize. Yeah, this is one of the problems with lighting, it can be really intense. Okay. Striking.
That's the backlight. They just turned on, that's the backlight. It's the lowest wattage, the smallest of the lights.
By the way, subjects that, our subject here is not quite blonde, but blondes really look good when you backlight because of that blonde hair. Wow, I got all kinds of spill going on. I am not a DP. By the way, lighting, you can become a fairly competent DP, all right? Especially if you're shooting a lot of exteriors. But the real challenge for a DP is lighting, okay, as I may have mentioned. If you cannot light, then you're really not much of a DP. And I'm not much of a DP.
What are you looking for right now to kind of guide how you're opening the barn doors and closing them down?
I'm trying to get the backlight on the back of the subject's head without having too much spill. I really have a lot of spill here, and these barn doors aren't helping me much. I probably want to put in a flag. Next week we'll talk more about that, okay? But for right now, since this is what we're just doing quick and dirty, your backlight is placed opposite the key.
The key, yeah.
I'm not getting as much on her as I really should. But you don't want to get this right behind her because the camera would pick it up. So again, I apologize to you, this is kind of pushing her. That's better than nothing, that's not too bad. I probably really want to try and control this spill so that the highlight is more here instead of spilling onto the side of her face, but her hair is sort of covering that.
Can I ask you another thing?
Yes.
Does having this light helps or disturb?
Ambient light?
No, the hallway.
It might, not in this
Helps,
case.
or, like if we are like doing the same thing, that helps or that is an obstacle?
It could. In this case, it's probably not doing anything. But what I would really want to do is probably just close that door, but it's not enough in there as it is. Okay. All right. Okay, so please look forward and don't look directly into the light. Striking is our key. Okay. Now,
Key light on.
lighting ratios, and I'll talk more about this next week, okay? Lighting ratios. The first thing I want to do is to determine what my f-stop is, my exposure, for the key light. "320-foot candles at ASA 160, shooting at 24 frames per second. My f-stop is 5.6. The next thing I want to do is to get the exposure from my fill light. Two ways to do this. I can block off the fill, the key, but it's usually easier just to kill the key.
Keep good.
And read only the fill. Okay, now, I have a problem. Yeah, I know, you've all been thinking that all semester long. Yeah, this guy has a problem already, isn't it? Okay. The problem is that my key is giving me 320-foot candles. My theoretical film stock is rated at ASA 150. I'm shooting at 24 frames per second, which means my exposure is 5.6 from my key. That's not the problem. The problem is that the fill is pretty much giving me the same thing, maybe even more. Now, when the key and the fill are of equal intensity, that's what we know as, that's what's known as a double key. Generally speaking, that's not what you want, okay? Is a double key a bad thing? Not always, okay, but generally speaking, especially when you're doing three-point lighting, it is. All right, so I have to bring down the intensity of the fill so that there's at least a one-stop difference between the fill and the key, to the key alone, to the fill alone. Okay, so there are a number of ways I can do this. Okay. Striking. All right. Since this is a focusable light, I can flood it. That's the easiest way to do this. This thing only has 3 barn doors. It's going all over the place. Okay. Let's see. Oops. Turn off the overheads because that can affect my exposure. Let's see now if I've done anything, if I've cut down the intensity of that. Whoa, how about that? Okay, I got it down to just under 160-foot candles. And so I'm now between 4 and 2.8. Okay, 4 and 2.8. That's my fill alone, striking. Now, the other. Okay, that's a little over 320. Okay, 5.6, okay. So, I now have a stop and a half difference between the key light and the fill light together and the fill light alone, okay? This is the formula, and again, I'll talk about it next week. The formula for what we call lighting contrast ratio. The formula is key plus fill to fill only. So, first of all, you take a reading with the key and the fill together. Then, block off or turn off the key and read only the fill. There should be at least a one-stop difference. If this is 5/6, then this has got to be at least F4, okay? If it's less than a stop, essentially you have 2 keys. In this case, I have a stop and a half, because it's 4, 2, 8. Okay,
Did
so
you adjust
everything
the
is on.
key at all, at first? Did you adjust the key?
No, no, I didn't. I softened it up a little bit. Okay, in other words, I went
Oh.
about midway between spot and flood.
Oh, okay.
Okay, all right. Okay, now that's what she looks like without the key. If you're doing film noir or something like that, you may want to light it that way. Okay, all right. I'm going to turn this on, so don't look at the light. Okay. Striking. All right. Now the fill will fill in some of those shadows, but you see this side of the face, you have just a little highlight, okay, on this side. In other words, I'm going to try and soften this up more. Oops, it's fully flooded. Okay, there is some contrast there, and this is adequate. But if I really wanted to bring the exposure down on this side, because I still felt that the fill was too high, there are several ways to do this. I can't flood this anymore. This is fully flooded. I could physically move back the light. That's known as backing off. I could also put something over the light, like this. This is known as diffusion. There are many, many different types of diffusion. Aha! Maybe I am a DP after all. Well, that didn't work. Take it down as much. However, now, if you notice, if you look right at Ms. Connor, right, okay, now you can clearly see that there is shadow on this side, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and generally speaking, that's what you want, okay, generally speaking, because you want some modeling in the face. That's extreme modeling, okay? Now again, striking, there, that'll soften it up. So, generally speaking, 3-point lighting was, and it's still used today, you know, it's not that common, but it's still used today. But 3-point lighting, generally speaking, is used to flatter the subject, to make the actor or actress look as attractive as possible. During the studio era of Hollywood, that was always every DP's goal, to make the actor and the actress look as beautiful and gorgeous as they possibly could. If they didn't, they might get fired. Okay, thank you very much, Sarah. Now, can we have somebody sit in? Or